Well, hello there once again, and welcome back to the world of Pokemon. You're here for the news with Noki. Man oh man, do we have so much stuff to go over today. Starting with Pokemon Sword and Shield, where there were two brand new trailers released in just the past week. The first of which that I'd like to discuss is the recap trailer. That was essentially just a recap of the overall surface level information that we know thus far about these games. We got to look back through all the brand new Pokemon that have been revealed thus far, including Pokemon like the starters, Wooloo, Yamper, and many others, as well as the brand new Galarian forms and the Galarian evolutions. They also couldn't pass up the opportunity to once again show off the brand new Dynamax and Gigantamax features as well. And they somewhat pointed to the camping feature in the background throughout much of this trailer, though they didn't explicitly point it out or go over what it's all about. And as I commented on many of the other videos that were actually made about this exact topic, I'm actually extremely excited that the Pokemon Company is deciding to do trailers like this, rather than reveal more crucial information about these games ahead of their launch. And I know some people are extremely impatient, and for good reason, because these games are going to be so amazing. However, they're only 3 weeks away at this point, and I think there's no problem in waiting in order to get that experience firsthand. I mean, when's the last time that we've had any Pokemon experience like this that's going to be so expansive and so amazing overall, and we have literally no idea what it is going into it. As for the second trailer that launched, and personally probably my favorite of the two, it really was more of a cinematic look at many of the returning Pokemon that were going to be coming into these games. And aside from this trailer being absolutely stunning and nostalgic and heartwarming, it also gave us a really good look at what a lot of these Pokemon are going to look like in the new high-definition graphics of the Switch. And I personally cannot wait to use many of these Pokemon in these games. And also, this trailer really reminded me an awful lot of the one that came out for Sun and Moon, where they went over all the 20 years of Pokemon history and built up to the launch of those games. I feel like this is really in that same vein of getting trainers to remember where the Pokemon Company has come from and now where it is headed onto the Switch. And speaking of which, we have so many new interviews that are now coming out from the heads of Game Freak, Masuda and Amori. Now, these interviews actually took place some time ago. However, there was an embargo of most information regarding Sword and Shield until as of late. And now that we're approaching the launch of these games within weeks, a lot more information is being allowed to leak out into the public. And although most of these interviews include things that we already know about these games, there is an incredible amount of nuanced information if you look at the way that the questions are framed and the way that they actually answer them. So in some instances, instead of giving just a simple no, they actually say things like, "We cannot comment," or "We can't say things that involve this," or "We just hope that players will find out for themselves." And so it really leaves you to believe that there's so much about these games that they just don't want to give away at all. And I don't think there's any reason to believe that this implies that these games are bad or somehow lacking in content. Now, I definitely understand where a lot of people have been coming from in regards to this situation, but I really don't think there's any reason to just jump to the conclusion that these games are somehow lacking in content or will somehow be lesser than any previous games just because of this fact. In fact, honestly, it's quite the opposite in my opinion. I think the fact that they've barely said anything at all, and we really know only a very small portion of these games, if at that. So to me at least, it would seem there's a plethora of information out there that we absolutely don't know and is just waiting to be discovered when we play these games. And finally, for Sword and Shield, we have some supposed leaks, or not, that have been surfacing as of late. And like with a lot of these text-based 4chan or Reddit type leaks, there's just so many coincidences between other supposed leaks, and they really recycle a lot of the differing rumors and some of the different Pokemon that are supposedly going to be this form or that form. In this new rumor, they supposedly go over how there's going to be a new form for Zubat and its evolutionary line. Lediba and Ledian will also supposedly be getting a Galarian form, as well as Girafarig. And although I would love to see all of these Pokemon get Galarian forms, I really don't think that a lot of these rumors hold credibility, and we'll just have to wait and see until these games come out. And now on to Pokemon GO, where I actually covered in my midweek discussion that there was going to be Galarian forms introduced into these games in the coming weeks. Well, it seems there's also going to be some form of new Team Rocket event that ties into discovering where their secret hideouts are. It's also been announced that there's going to be a brand new online multiplayer battling system introduced to this game in the beginning of 2020, and truly this is going to allow for so many more players to connect with one another and be able to trade and battle and so many more things to come. And obviously I am all for this, as it's going to add so much more functionality and accessibility to players that otherwise would not have it. Players like myself who don't really have the time to go out when other people are necessarily out and about playing, so it'd be really cool if we could be able to play from afar through an online system. Finally, for Pokemon GO, we have a bit of somber and unfortunate news in which it's being reported that down in New Mexico this past week, a woman was actually shot and killed while playing Pokemon GO in her neighborhood. From what the report says, the woman and her boyfriend were playing Pokemon GO when they came upon thieves who were trying to break into a vehicle. And when they actually tried to flee the scene, the thieves ended up firing upon their vehicle and striking the driver, who was the young woman, who later passed away in the hospital from her injuries. Of course, my thoughts definitely go out to the family and friends of this young woman who went through this tragedy. And truly, I hope this serves as a bit of an awareness to those of us who play these types of games, where we actually have to go out and about into this world that it sometimes can be quite dangerous. And you should always be aware of your surroundings and the areas that you're entering into beforehand. And moving along from there, we have a bit of miscellaneous information when it comes to Pokemon, which is the unfortunate circumstances surrounding the Pokemon Center London, which recently opened. From the sounds of it, it appears from its obvious popularity that many of the items have just been flying off the shelves, and there have been so many people flooding the store that lines and queues to get in have been taking hours. And not only that, but they've actually had to shorten their hours, which has led to frustrations even more. And honestly, a lot of people have been reporting doom and gloom on this story. However, personally, I feel like this is a case more of growing pains, and obviously this store was going to be massively popular and successful, and so we'll just have to wait until it finds its groove and eventually becomes just as functionable as the other Pokemon centers that are located around the world. And for a bit of light and happy, cheery news, we have the fact that there's going to be a free Mewtwo given away at all local GameStops in your Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee games. And this will be obtainable through the Pokemon Pass app that they've really been pushing as of late as being the only place to collect these brand new event Pokemon, whether that be in Generation 7 still, or the upcoming titles in Generation 8. And now on to Marvel! Where first up, we have a bit of tense news, as it appears Hawkeye star Jeremy Renner is in a bit of a pickle. As of late, there are accusations flying around that he actually threatened the life of his ex-wife over the custody of their child. And a lot of people have been taking to social media to call for his expulsion from the MCU and the part of Hawkeye. And I definitely don't condone any sort of behavior where you're threatening the life of absolutely anybody. However, I don't know this situation personally, and therefore I cannot just rush to a judgment as to what kind of person he is or whether he would actually do these kinds of things. I guess we'll find out as time comes how Marvel itself will react. I know a lot of reports are publishing that Marvel's considering removing him. However, I have not seen anything official that states as to yes or no whether that's true or not. There's also a brand new interview that came out recently from Kevin Feige, where he was discussing Paul Rudd's AntMan and his potential future in the MCU. And although his response was relatively vague, he essentially said that everybody who's alive after Endgame will still serve some form of purpose going forward in the MCU overall. And although we didn't see any clear indication of how Ant-Man will play into Phase 4 of the MCU, there's probably no doubt that he will be incorporated somewhere along the line, whether it be as a cameo in some of the television series that are coming out, or whether he'll play an integral role in any of the mainline movies. And moving along, as many of you have probably seen, and if you have not, I highly suggest you do so as soon as you get done watching this video, A brand new Star Wars trailer dropped just a few days ago and is blowing everybody's minds. I've watched this trailer probably 3 times now, essentially, because I haven't had a lot of time to watch it more, but I'm probably gonna watch it 10 to 15 times, even more, to try to pour through all of the different scenes and references that are potentially hidden throughout this few minutes that they give us. Also, as the pre-sale tickets now went live, we actually know the exact runtime of the upcoming movie, and now considered the longest Star Wars film of all time, sitting at 2 hours and 35 minutes. Personally, I know there is a lot of controversy that's been swirling regarding the Star Wars movies as of late. However, I'll be very interested to see how he closes out this Skywalker saga and gives homage to the past 8 films, wrapping it up into a nice gift package for all of us fans. But that's gonna do it for the news that interested me this past week. I thoroughly hope you enjoyed this video, and I personally wanted to take a moment to thank absolutely everybody that watched my past midweek discussion. I never expected there to be over 120 views on any of my videos yet. Not only that, but a few of you chose to subscribe to my channel and even commented on my video, keeping the discussion going. I definitely can't express how absolutely happy it made me to see all that support after the hard work that I have poured into the creation of this channel. As some of you may know from watching many of my videos, and others of you may not, I am actually a stay-at-home homeschooling father and am extremely busy and interactive with my children pretty much all day, every single day. So the making of these videos takes place generally in my time outside of those moments, and it really helps to see the support pouring in of all of this hard work that I've put into it. I'm still extremely committed to making ad-free videos, providing entertainment for people of all ages, and generally just having fun making this content. I thoroughly strive to one day be able to help my wife provide for our family by doing what I love and producing these videos for you. Please consider watching my most recent videos. If you're interested in Pokemon trading card game pack openings, especially make sure you check out the shiny hunting video I recently did with my 3-year-old son. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, this has been Professor Noki, signing out once again for Noki Talks.